we're going to be running through the show and doing this, and then I'm gonna hit the button and we're gonna watch the video. We do have Jonathan's in the back room. He's gonna join us at the end. So Joe's like, "Damn it, Chris, you're not supposed to make a fool of yourself when people."
That was good. That's my favorite one in a while.
So I'm excited. Jonathan's in the back room. He's going to join us at the end of our show to talk about his Kickstarter he has and a lot of the things he has going on. I'm excited about that. But I'm also sort of pumped because last week we got to pump your Kickstarter. Brand new newbie, never done a Kickstarter before. Joe's doing one. And then we have Jonathan, who's sort of become an expert at it. He's been doing it for a few years. He has successful ones, and he has ones that are like, oh, okay, they're doing all right. And that's great. I mean, he knows several of the different publishers, and we'll talk to him about that. But
he's a hustler, man. I'll tell you what.
I appreciate
he's everywhere.
So I'm excited to talk about some of these books this week. I appreciate right now, Joe. I don't know if you don't notice this. We've had 3. I thought it was just a week 5 thing where there are not as many books, but it sure does seem like we've now gone 3 weeks in a row with not a ton of books. Doesn't mean there's quality's bad,
right?
But no longer do I see 150 Marvel variants, and I mean there are more DC variants than normal, or it seems like, but Marvel seems to have cut it back a little bit, which I appreciate. It's a waste. Now, Marvel at the same time, every freaking store under the planet is doing exclusive for cons right now, so it's like choose your poison of what you want. But were you able to hit the new comics?
No, I haven't been 2 weeks. Saving my money for next week.
Yeah, there are definitely some that are right up our alley. Like
every cover is like, geez, dang it.
So yeah, I did not. I hit the. Actually, I've been a sucker for Whatnot here lately and found some good scores, but I did not hit the LCS this week. I have a couple in my box hoping to pick up, but nothing major. But yeah, let's just jump on in so we can get to the interview here at the end. Guys, we're stoked. Cover on the left is Jonathan Hedrick's new book, Capable 5, or number 5 from the thing, and we will talk about it, and he'll have a chance to give you his sell pitch, but also just talk about the series and everything like that. We're so stoked about the book in the middle. We're going to spend a lot of time probably on this one. And then, of course, you got to highlight Night Spider, one of the biggest hype books probably in the past 2 or 3 months. So let's just sort of dive on in here and get into it. I can pull up my comments. Guys, if you're watching, I appreciate it. You're choosing not to watch football right now. First football game of the season. Joe, did you know that? Did you know you had a draft last night and were a part of it?
I've been ignoring that for 10 years. I'm going to continue to ignore that. And as long as nobody says, hey, you owe me money, I'm good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, we keep trying. I keep trying to find someone to take over. And now we're freaking old enough to where our friends
I saw that.
Oh, my goodness. Our friends now have their kids old enough to do it.
How the heck is Kirby's kid 16 years old? What in the world, man? I feel so old. I felt so old in that instance. All right. Anyway, Batman
and Robin. We always have to have a Batman book. We have a soft spot for Batman. This is the feed. It spins out of World's Finest. I think World's Finest ended, and this picks up there. And from the solicitation, I have not been following. Have you been keeping up with World's Finest?
No, I'm not.
Evidently, at the ends where this demon person now has, especially everyone turns evil with this demon person. So Robin's under that, so Batman's gonna have to have it out with Robin. So this is not a Batman and Robin adventure. This is a Batman versus Robin type of story. Thus the VS in the center. Yeah. Covers are
good covers.
Yeah, I mean, you got this Middleton's really nice. I do like it in the center. The Perillo's okay, but both of us agree that our favorite is the Manipul. Yeah. Which there's a regular cover of it, and then there's also like the 1 for 50 foil variant. Or maybe 150. I mean, it's a ridiculous. And I think there's the cover A here. Yeah, I like this here. Anyone who missed the Middleton cover needs to turn their Spec card. Yeah, it is definitely one you have to be sort of stupid not to have seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a 00. That's the way to do it. You pull it up on your phone or your other device, and we're good to go. But yeah, that Middleton is a gorgeous. You never know. Middleton doesn't sneak up on anyone, but some of his books, like his Dark Steel books, have hit that $5-7 range, $10 or slow play ones. So let's jump in, keep going. Get to the one where you go, I don't want to buy every cover. I can't afford every cover, but I want every cover.
Yeah.
And this is not every cover. I think there's 2 or 3 more.
Yeah, at least. Maybe 4 more.
I think because I think the cover A has a virgin version of this as well.
Yeah.
It's
pretty awesome.
And you know what? I just realized maybe it's an acetate cover for the regular cover. Look with the feather. That's the freaking same skull as the.
Yeah.
I did not notice that until just now. How dumb am I? Don't answer that.
You're not dumb. You're not dumb. He just had to do 2 images, so why not do both? You know.
Yeah.
He's awesome. I love him. And he's doing the interior. Sorrentino. This is a Lemire Sorrentino book. So, Free Comic Book Day was part of this. And then they had another like graphic novel that came out in August maybe.
Was that the Passageway?
Yeah. And it was good. It kind of had. Did you see the movie The Lighthouse?
No.
You should. It's really weird. It kind of had vibes of The Lighthouse vibes, so that was cool. So I'm excited about this book. I'm not the biggest horror fan, but I am a big Skull fan.
Yes.
So that Del Mundo is a ratio.
Yeah, that writer. That's exactly the Del Mundo is a 1 for, I think, maybe the 1 for 100. And that's and the Sorrentino with the black is a 1 for 50.
50. Yeah.
I think the Simmons might be a 1 for 25. I'm not quite sure, but they're so freaking gorgeous.
They're gonna go like that. We don't always say that.
Yeah.
But this is like a stupid indie book. It'll be fun. It'll be fine. But unless it gets like picked up and turned into something, like it's a horror indie book. Like, but these covers are just amazing.
Cover A, but at the same time, we completely missed the boat on 8 Billion Genies, and that book still is going.
Still watching that boat sail away.
Edge of Spider-Verse. This is where my pet peeve, has come, and I'm a huge Spider-Man guy, but what I hated, and I've talked about it multiple times, this character Night Spider. Everyone's known about her since the second the image got revealed on Instagram, and cover A's for issue or store exclusives for issue 1 had her on the cover. So it's like that, all that little, does the cover matter and all that type of stuff. But I tell you what, these cover A's have gorgeous for Edge of Spider-Verse. Every one of them have been great.
Beautiful. This is my favorite one, I think.
Yeah, you get freaking India Spider-Man or whatever, and then you get Night Spider, and I think that's the Japanese and I'm losing my Spider-Man cred card.
Yeah, you are. I mean, I don't even have one, so you're already doing pretty good.
And the weird thing is with the number of store exclusives this thing has, there's only a 1 for 10 incentive. There's no, and I've noticed that from a lot of Marvel right now, they're not putting these 1 for 200s, 1 for, like they did for quite a while, because I think they got burned a few times, or stores complained or whatever. So, but you do also have a second print for issue 1. That's the other book I'm showing. So. There might be some spec there.
Did you pick up one?
I haven't. I'm hoping it's in my box. If not, I'm hoping. I assumed our store bought heavy into it, but maybe I was wrong.
Right. I didn't look for it last time I went.
Yeah. So this comes out. Definitely worth picking up. I probably will go and pick them up, and I'll try to pick up the entire set just to have the set. I love the cover A, but the cover B, the Anka is great too, and then the 1 for 10 if you can get it. Now we're into some covers we like. These Ryan Gonzalez is an artist. Ryan Gonzalez is an artist you sort of need to watch for. I can't tell you which cover, but every once in a while, one of these covers will spike and it'll be double and triple ratio. This is one that I could see that being the case, because first off, you're talking about Batgirls 10.
Right.
How many stores are buying 25 copies of Batgirls 10? So that might be a place. I know I have there's a Mighty Morphin cover he did or she did that sells for like $60. It was a 1 for 25. The others around it don't, but that one does. So like certain ones, certain looks. But then we got your boy who you turned me on to this artist. This is the first time I've seen him do a DC cover.
Yeah, I think he's starting to get more cover work for some reason, which I'm glad. I like him. I found him on accident because he did some Wolverine book.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is like weirdly ink washed. And so I've been following him on Instagram ever since. And he had this really great indie book that came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I really like that. So.
And then we were both excited that Paul Pope did a cover we liked again.
Yay! he can still do it.
He can. I mean, this straight up reminds me of Battle Boy or what, Haggard West? Is that the other one?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great. There's action. There's space. He had to draw a horse and he like crushed it.
Oh yeah.
Like it's awesome.
But it's still Pope. Like you can tell it's his style.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm excited to see that. More covers we like. This Daredevil Malieve is gorgeous. It's the one for 25. I don't think there's a one for 50 on this. I think this is the one you want. Yeah, it's a great cover. I actually really like the fact it's almost like a movie still. Like the way he drew it or created it. I don't mind the trade dress.
It's also a white cover, which I don't know if you know, but you always are a sucker for a white cover.
Well, yeah, I am.
Me too.
Then you got the new Midnight Suns team or whatever, and this is a Kevin Eastman cover. One for 25. It's Eastman. I mean, what else do you have to say?
For sure you'd put that in Huck Lee Magic up there, but you didn't.
I didn't. I stayed away. And then you got Spider-Punk here. I think this is only a 5-issue series.
Yeah, it's limited. I remember that.
So Venom, you got all the different characters that have been introduced in this series. I think some of them appeared on the cover, some of them didn't, but this would be the cover of every one of them. So if you've been following the series, this is a series that the first book jumped huge because of a great 1 for 50 incentive. And then no one's sort of talking like, I think some of these will spike again if an Edge of Spider-Verse 2 movie, if they actually go to his world. Supposedly he's supposed to be in the movie, but if they go to his world, then you get to see these other characters. It'd be pretty sweet. Now we're hitting the Indy covers. Guys, it's a weird sort of, there aren't a ton of books, but there are a lot of books we're excited about. This Masquerade, it's Kevin Smith. So if you like Kevin Smith's writing, especially knowing that he has movie deals and all those different things, and just who he is, it never hurts to sort of pick up anything he writes because you never know if he can get it made. He has more connections than most people do. But this is a Francavilla cover. I'm a sucker. I like Francavilla's stuff. The solicitation was interesting. I'm not 100% on it, but
that's kind of how I was too. But it seemed very other media friendly.
Yeah, because it wasn't like super vigilante. Like she's too famous so she has to wear a mask, but she wants to get revenge for the people that killed her family.
Yeah,
are responsible for the kill. So
one of those type of deals.
Mindset. The first one we were interested in, it was Vault. Vault's one of those weird those labels that a lot of their books are issue 1 does great, and then it takes a while for people to buy into the story or not. But this Martin Simmons cover has me going, I really need to read it. I wish I'd read issue 1, 2, and now 3.
Yeah,
I mean,
I read the first one. It was pretty good.
Is that the one with the app that controls everything?
Yeah. I was like, I'll read the trade.
Yeah. Throwing Sergeant Werewolf up here. This is Black Caravan Scout. It's Rich Woodall, who his name pops for me because of Electric Black. He also did Gods of Brutality and 2 or 3 other things. He just does fun books. And they're usually fun drawing and then hyper violent, but in a fun way. So it's like it just looks like fun. Sergeant Werewolf. I enjoy these types of books. I'll probably check them out. That's why I'm a sucker for a lot of the Garrett Gunn stuff. Same thing.
Yeah.
I did not read Gods of Brutality, so I don't know how that was as a book, but I did like Electric Black. And that is an incentive there. That cover I think is a 1 for 15, Joe.
Nice.
Joe, you sent me these books. I looked at them, I couldn't decide. Is it just strictly cover, or have you been reading these?
I haven't read Dark Spaces. I've read Above Snakes, and I read the first. I guess I'm caught up. This is the second one of Love Everlasting. So
yeah,
Sorrentino gets me every time. I don't really love the skull, but the landscape is spectacular. And then the Above Snakes is just so dumb. Like, I was like, yeah, that's perfect. Like, just fill it up. Plus, there's like a talking vulture, so I like vultures. One of my favorite animals, things on the planet. And then my girl Alison Sampson on Love Everlasting. So
yeah, and it amazed me, like, as many just knock you down covers as the first book had for Love Everlasting. Like, this was a good cover, but it was one of those, like, I stopped. And I was like, I enjoyed the series. Yeah, and James is reading Love Everlasting. I fully agree. The twist ending at the end is like, oh, I don't know if I saw that coming. Like, it was like, it made me want to pick up the second issue, and I probably will. I mean, and give it a read. But yeah, and Joe, I think you're right. This would be the cover to grab. But it's one of those weird indie books are always weird.
Right.
Cover A you grab for indie books for issue 1, and then after that you grab the covers you like.
Yeah.
Because usually they're not going to have quite the same value. But if it's a good read, if it ends up being a great story, then you're set because you have the complete set. And I did like Love Everlasting the first issue, so I probably will try checking that out. Now we're into some incentives. I am. Peter said he picked up the Frisson cover for that Love Everlasting. It's a good read. It's definitely worth. It's a fun read. I am gonna try to sell and pitch you guys on Lower Decks. Last week, Star Trek issue 400, the incentive cover was this series. This is a Rick and Morty-esque Star Trek show on Paramount Plus. They don't appear in the book. I went back, actually online read the issue 400 just to see if they actually appear in the book. They don't, but the cover, the retail incentive for the issue 400 that came out last week has them on the cover. And then this is the first issue of a series. I was not super. I was like, okay, cool. They just threw them on the cover, knowing that they're doing a series, knowing how things like Rick and Morty took off. Those are just fun. I've watched a couple of the episodes. If you're at any point in your life or a Star Trek fan, it's fun to read a book or see something where it's picking on not the stars of the show. When it's the red shirts. There's a great John Scalzi wrote a book called Red Shirts, where it's basically from the perspective of the guys who don't survive the TV shows, and they become self-aware, and that's sort of what this cartoon is like, no, I don't want to go out on that mission. Have you ever noticed how none of us survive? I haven't been given a name yet, and those types of things. So the show is just sort of goofy fun. I believe in this, whether or not anyone else does. I bought 3 copies from my comic shop today to get the one of the incentive from last week to make sure. I was like, I'm gonna own this, and if I don't, F. But
did you see David Aha posted a Star Trek cover today?
No, I didn't. Ooh.
It's kind of awesome. I guess Star Trek's having a moment again, huh?
Hey, they evidently meet with me. They are. This Predator cover's great. I mean,
this is what we were looking for with number 1.
Yeah,
this is exactly what they needed to do for number 1.
I mean, and there were some okay ones for number 1. Like, I love the Raza cover, but this is just what you wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Loroca, just gorgeous. It's the incentive, and yeah, that's not a lot more to say. Somehow Seven Sons keeps getting incentives. Now, granted, it's just Jay Lee doing a black and white version of the cover A.
Right.
But I haven't read any of them, and you said you glanced through it, and it's just not our style.
Wasn't for me.
I am interested in this Aftershock. This is the 06 Protocol Aftershock. This is the one for 15. The Russ Wooten cover. Cool. Let's see. The Norman Job, if you remember the SNL skit. Oh, it might be Star Trek Day. That would be cool too. I didn't realize it was like they have their own day. I mean, I know the May the 4th be with you is the Star Wars Day. How does Star Trek? Is it September 8th? Is that important to Star Trek people? But But yeah, as far as these
we
other
know all that. We know all that. We're just putting it on for you guys.
Yeah, I'm Googling on the side. I need my little Polly on the side that Googles all the stuff for me.
Right.
There are some great books here. The first set of Death Dealers, they're calming down. The covers aren't as good as the first 2 or 3 were amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and these are all just different labels, some of their incentives from Aftershock, Opus, Black Caravan. I think this is a Blaze, the Until My Knuckles Bleed. Mm-hmm. But guys, those are the new books coming out. As you can see, we flew through the show, partially to get to our guest because I want to talk to him and give him his full time, but also it was a light but strong week. Like there are books that Joe and I are going to go chase. We're going to try to pick up, but there was not 70 books. It is nice when you go, oh, this is a good 25-minute show. We hit the books, hit them hard. We get to talk about the books we like, and then we get to jump in and sort of go through it. So, like I said, this is the end of the show. We're going to have Jonathan here join us. Let me do this. Hopefully he's ready.
What's up, guys?
Hey, man.
So, Jonathan, thank you so much. Was it 2 years ago or a year ago that we talked?
I think somewhere in between. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. That sounds about right. 1 year or more.
I got so stoked with Recount that I got to get in touch with this guy and reached out to you. I guess you were on issue 2 or 3 at that point.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed talking to you and just talking through Kickstarters and like the entire process was very interesting to me. And then it was also fun for me. I always love, and this is the pride in me going, and I talked to you, and then other people start going, wait, the Recount's a good book. It happened with We Live. I talked to Inaki Miranda, the same thing. We Live blew up. I was like, I was first. Someone told me I was first. And then I go, oh, wait, no one watches my show. So,
I just made a good book, man.
Yeah, it just made evidently I know quality, but no one else knows that I'm quality. So
right.
But it takes time. It takes
time. I just enjoy talking. I like picking people's brains on the artist process, the writer process of going through it. I'm excited to see what you have coming up. We have a couple of slides where we'll show some of your books that you have going right now.
Yes.
But first, how are you doing?
Doing great. Living, rolling with the punches, and all those other cliches. I can't complain. It's not too bad. Comic book stuff is feast or famine sometimes. Right now, I'm in the feast side of it. I got something on Kickstarter, something out next week. I got 2 things that I was in the previous previews. Got something.
Wait, you got something out next week, and you didn't. Which book do you have out next week?
Well, I can't take full credit for it. I have 6 pages in an anthology.
Okay, so I think we are going to show that.
Yeah,
I was just like, wait a minute, I missed the book. Damn it.
Yeah. So not my own thing, but something I was had the privilege of participating in, which is really cool. So yeah, the first half of the year was kind of slow, gearing up for the preamble, and then that hit. Then con season hit, and then everything else followed suit. So. That's how it rolls sometimes,
Shoot, con season, just because of how it was so barren for 2 years.
Yeah,
man, it's been from following, and I wasn't paying attention on Instagram like I am now. I'm like, oh God, every artist, every writer, and every shop, and it hits these cons like which I understand everyone used to do, but everyone was like getting ready to go. They're like, okay, let's go.
Yeah, and my first one was MegaCon this year, which that's kind of like my home biggest con. I don't not to say anything bad about the smaller cons that have been supporting me over the years, but like MegaCon's the closest biggest con.
Yeah, that's in Orlando.
Yeah, in Orlando, and so I was sponsored by Carnivore Comics, 2 exclusive covers. I can't be more grateful.
That's awesome
for that.
What were the exclusives for? What books?
It was both for a Recount preamble.
Okay.
What's
the total now?
I'm sorry.
What's the total now of exclusives for that book?
For a preamble, I think it's up to 16 maybe.
That's
and that's a one shot,
Yeah. Because thinking back to your Recount number 1, you had 3 or 2.
Well, there was the main cover, the Brian Silverback Scarface homage, and then Rich Waddell, who you mentioned earlier, he did a web store exclusive. But even today they're still pumping out special editions if there's a retailer that wants one. Just at San Diego Comic-Con, there was a Trinity Comics exclusive for recount number 1. So it's a gift that keeps on giving.
That's all. And for a store, they don't have to. It's not like they sign up for 1,000 copies. They can do like 500, right?
They can do less than that. With Scout, it's 250 for the minimum.
Oh wow! So
that
explains why stores jump on going, okay, and then you're like, oh sweet, my number went from 5,000 issues to 1,000 issues.
Right.
So
that's it's the perfect print amount. It's not too risky. Stores know how many people are supporting them via if they have a Facebook group or a following. They know how much they could sell, how much they could lose, and still profit off of it. And I've done exclusive covers on my own books too for several of them. So it's worth it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was curious because of course everyone knows Marvel DC is like 3,000, and then Boom was like 500, but once the success of Something's Killing the Children, it's like 1,000 now or something.
Yeah, it makes sense though. It evolves. For every publisher.
I mean, you'd love, and as a writer, when you're like, the more they can ask and demand, the better. It's like, oh yeah, do 1,000. I mean,
right. Well, and I don't look at it from a dollars and cents point of view. It's more like how many people are getting the book in their hands, and more people that get the books in their hands, and more chance that someone's going to read it. Because as we know, people buy a book to see the cover more than they are reading it. No one who reads a comic is never looking at the cover. No one has got like, please keep my eyes closed and then open the book for me. I never want to see the front of this cover. So
well, and I will say, like, I picked up a Quicksand, one you did, I guess 6 months ago or whatever. My LCS is they're loyal to you. They like every time you have a Kickstarter, Joe and I will go in and like they have a little row of Kickstarters they support. And I've seen every issue of Capable has been there. They did quick switch. I even called them up and said, hey, because you had like a retailer only stores could get a certain cover. Yeah, I was so mad because I was like, that's the one I want and I can't get it. So I called them and like, no, we already got that ordered. And I was like, put it in my box.
Perfect. Yeah, you got to do those things. I'm huge on supporting the retailers. The brick and mortars and those online only. Without those, they're like the drummer of the band, in the background, not getting the attention, but they're, the spine that keeps things moving.
Yeah. I mean, I've been impressed with our LCS, but there's a couple other stores around town. Like it's nice when you're we're in a big enough city where you have your stores that only buy new stuff, and then you have your stores that buy old stuff, and then you have the middle. They're like, we support indie books and books we read. Yes. And it's like, they're like, F you if you're a speculator. They're not those people. They're like, oh no, we'll support Kickstarters if we like it. Yeah. And like each person who works there gets to like, I like him, so we're gonna buy his Kickstarter. We're gonna buy. So you can see the different store people's personalities. Like they picked that book. I know that was Connie's book. I know that was Rick's book.
Yeah, you gotta love those guys. That's it's good. That's good to hear. Thank you so much for saying that. It means a lot.
All right, so let's jump in and look at. So this is the end of our show. We're going to jump in and look at. Okay. We're showing one of your covers. I saw you post this on Twitter. When did you post this? The other day?
I think I did this morning. But I've done it before too for that Oshred cover.
Yeah. Oh man. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, whoa, because this is not like the typical Capable books I've been seeing. Right. And we're going to look at the Kickstarter here in a second. Yep. Let's talk through. First, tell me about Hyperaware.
Hyperaware, that's coming out from Source Point Press, on sale October 19th. So it still should be plenty of time before FOC. That's a 24-page one-shot that I wrote for my artist on Quicksand, Deborah Lancianese.
Okay.
Long story short, she's from Italy and wanted to enter this comic book contest where the prize is a drawing tablet. She reached out to me and said, do you have a script? I'll take care of everything else. And then you can have the book when it's done. And that's a rare thing in indie comics where someone is going to draw a comic for you for free. And plus she's a great person. I've really enjoyed working with her on Quicksand, and her career is just getting started. So I already had the idea for Hyperaware. I gave her the script in 2 weeks because we were on a time crunch. After I gave her that script, she penciled, inked, colored, and lettered it, and translated my English script into Italian for this contest, and then won the contest in the pro category. Got that damn drawing tablet, which is awesome. And then it just scheduled for Kickstarters this year.
Yeah.
So I sent it to Source Point Press, on a whim, and then they took it. It fit in their schedule too. They, if you looked at their releases this year, they're back to back, but they had some slots this year, and thankfully they gave me a chance. So really grateful. It's a cool sci-fi thriller. I should probably tell you what the book's about instead of the origin story of how it got made.
The origin story was awesome.
Okay. But essentially it's about these 3 astronauts who are stranded in deep space. They're the only ones aboard this ship, and because of the damage that the ship has sustained, only 2 of them can enter hypersleep for the journey back home, which means someone has to draw the short straw and live the rest of their life aboard the ship alone. And it's a long enough time where they'll die from old age.
Wow.
So then the twist is what happens when the 2 astronauts wake back up from hypersleep that were fortunate enough to not draw that short straw. So it's a real cool, like Black Mirror-esque type story. It's easy read.
Picturing the scare out of the hell. I mean, was it Event Horizon?
Yeah. Very influenced by that, even though it's a totally different story. But I love that kind of sci-fi stuff. If you've heard of a movie called Sunshine a few years back, I think it's Danny Boyle. Yeah. Great movie. Things like that. So and I've also been like a huge deep space, hyper sleep fanboy ever since when I was a kid and I saw Aliens. I just thought that was the coolest concept. You go to sleep and you wake up and it's been 80 years in the future, and it's awesome. So I knew there was some storytelling behind that.
So I'm sure Joe right now is switching gears and drawing astronauts, because if you look behind my big bald head
on Spider-Man.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, and I grew up on the Space Coast. I'm in the same county as Cape Kennedy, so I see the rockets go off all the time. I grew up in the space shuttle era, so space and space travel has a place in my heart. So it's important to write a story like this.
Yeah, I think if you follow Joe on Instagram or Bear Sea Digital, like you'll see astronauts pop up all the time. Like the one painting he gave me is right here behind me.
That's cool.
Astronaut. So that is his cup of tea. That and old cowboys. And
gotcha.
Yeah, this book is perfect for me. Thanks.
You're welcome.
I'm glad somebody's out there writing comics for me.
Thank you.
So tell me about this Lower Your Sights. I like the benefit anthology for Ukraine, but how did this get going?
So Chaz, who is the senior editor over at Mad Cave, reached out to me about the anthology, and I already said yes before he even told me anything about it. It was a way to get my foot in the door with Mad Cave, which is a publisher that I adored for the past several years. He told me, this is pro bono stuff. You're not going to get paid for it, but it benefits the children in Ukraine by sending them like art supplies and art classes and things like that. So the story, all the stories in there are military themed, but not like the Sergeant Rock or Michael Bay type war. It's more of the I don't want to say dramatic, but the untold stories of war and the impact that it has on people, not just the soldiers, but the lives of the family who don't even have their boots on the ground there. So I'm a 3-year Army vet, so I pulled from my experience. I have a 6-page story that is very similar to an experience I had when I was in basic training. And yeah, I'm so glad I got to tell that story and for it to benefit this. The artist is Gabriel Ibarra Nunez, who is on the first volume of the Recount.
Okay.
Very, very talented artist, and his style fits very well with that story. So
that's awesome.
yeah, I'm so thankful to be a part of it. And there's so many bigger names on it than me, and just so cool. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on the copy and seeing everyone else's story.
So you said October for Hyperaware.
October 19th for Hyperaware.
And this one in the lower your sights.
Lower your sights is next week, on the 14th.
Okay. Yep. So once I should have had another book in the indie spotlight section for lower your sights, but
it's all good. It's all good.
That's all. That's awesome, and I love the fact that your Source Point, Mad Cave, you do a lot with Scout, and then of course you do your indie. So let's see, you need to throw Vault in there, and then you have
if you know anyone at Vault, I'd appreciate that. But on the note about the different publishers, I spent last year and this year really casting the wide net because I appreciate Scout, and I have the Recount with them, Space Cadet from their Scoot imprint. And I have another book next year that's coming out with Scout. So nothing against them with me going to these other publishers for this stuff. It's more of where does this title fit best? Well,
that's what I know about Source Point from the people I've interviewed. They usually do a lot darker, and they do lean into the space and the horror. Now, yes, Scout has Black Caravan with Schmalke and Woodall if you go through them, but. Yeah, like you're right. Like from the story you told of Hyperware, I'm like, that's a Source Point book.
Right.
I'm sure when you talk about Caffeinated Heart, it'll probably fit what Source Point does. I mean, Vault does the adventure, the indie adventure books, and Scout does a sort of weird mix. They do a little bit of everything, but that's also it's hard to figure out because, like, well, who are they? Like, what is their niche? And maybe they're not a niche. Maybe they're trying to jump up and all of them want to jump up and compete with Marvel and DC, but. All right, so let's see here. Caffeinated Heart. Tell me about that, because the cover-wise, I also love the diversity of your cover choices. And I know the middle book probably wasn't your choice either way, but the other two I know you had a hand in with that.
Yeah, I mean they're all three different genre books. But yeah, if I can pat myself on the back, it just it shows the diversity of my writing. I don't want to write myself in a corner and say I'm only the zombie guy. I like to try different genres, and Caffeinated Hearts was a book that I kickstarted earlier in the year with my buddy Stefano Cardacelli. Him and I worked before on Freak Show Night, which came out with Second Sight, and then previously mentioned Space Cadet, which is our all ages story that came out Scoot, the imprint at Scout. And Caffeinated Hearts came to be because after every time we get done doing a book, Stefano asks me, okay, what do you want to do next? Like, he doesn't give me a chance to move on and find even though I do, but he's like, he wants to make sure our working relationship continues on another project. So I threw the idea about doing a slice of life comic book with him, and I told him, him and I both love coffee. We're big coffee connoisseurs, so I wanted to write a comic book that had a coffee theme to it and took place in one day. So I was like, what better than a story that takes place in a coffee shop? And so Caffeinated Hearts is 4 vignettes, 4 smaller stories that are interwoven through the day of this barista's shift at this coffee shop. And when I presented that idea to Stefano, who is known for his horror books, big guns, graphic images, like we did on Freak Show Night, he has done a lot with heavy metal, and he's won a Bram Stoker award. So when I pitched him this idea for him to do the artwork, I was hesitant because not in his style, but he said he'd be cool with it as long as he can make it a cyberpunk background to it.
Oh,
Nice. I was like, yeah, of course. I'm not gonna say no to that. So yeah, it's a cyberpunk slice of life comic book inside
it's
of
almost
a coffee
like Tank
shop.
Girl having a coffee break.
Yeah. There is a coffee break in the book. So yeah, it's just another fun 24-page one shot. That's one shots are easy when you're in the indie world. You can get something out there, you can market yourself, something to sell, and you don't have that long-term investment that is super scary. No one wants to plan for a 5-issue miniseries and disappear in the middle of that. So
yeah, I've heard some horror stories, or you get stuck with, okay, issue 1, 2 came out, but 3, 4, and 5 still waiting on the artist, or or having to make an artist switch in the middle of a.
Yes, yeah, that changes everything. So
a 00 evidently knows you, Joe. Joe loves his one shots.
I do, and they're. I mean, as a comic reader, there's really nothing better to find new talent, to find a comic that you can read multiple times and not have to go find 6 other titles that connect to it. Like
right.
So yeah, again, you're speaking my language, man.
Yeah, thank you. That's why I really appreciated James Tynan's The Closet recently. It was 3 issues. You got a good story out of it, and then put it away. I might reread it. Maybe I'll get the trade. Who knows? But it's not like an exhausting, like, okay, every issue ends on a cliffhanger. Oh God, I gotta get it again. It's like, come on. Some people like beginnings and ends. I know the comic book industry is founded upon long runs of these superhero books, and even from like The Walking Dead, and there's lots to say about the success of those, but that also drives people away too. When people walk into a comic book store that aren't familiar with comic books, and they don't know where to begin, and it's intimidating. To some of the big two's defense, that's why they us diehard comic book fans get annoyed when here comes Captain America #1 volume 32. We're like, they're just doing this because they want that #1 on there. But they also want new readers, and if we don't get new readers, then this industry is gonna be gone really fast. So one shots are also is the indie way of kind of sustaining the reading of the readers in comic book industry.
And I think some of the next tier indie labels are starting to go back to some of that. Like Image has had their one shots, their Skybounds, they're doing the After School. They have different ones that are popping up here and there. I know Dark Horse has had a few now. It's like, oh, okay, you're buying into this. Let's just do these little mini series, and Marvel and DC do it in their annuals if you pay attention. Like I grew up where you don't buy a damn annual because it's just their way of trying to milk another issue out of you.
Yeah.
But there's been some amazing stories come out of their annuals here recently. So I'm like, okay, that they're trying to sneak them in here and there. But no, you're right. I love one shots. I like doing like your book, the Lower Your Sights book, or like I like being able to pick a book and the anthology like that. It's even sometimes more fun because you're like, okay, I like your art, your name. I like what you wrote. I'm gonna go find out what more stuff you wrote. Have you? I guess these haven't come out yet as far as big label. I know Caffeinated Heart. I remember seeing it come through the Kickstarter thing. Are you finding that people are going, wait, are they texting you or emailing you going, hey, this is not the same guy who wrote Recount? I mean,
I haven't really, not so much, but I've had people expect that everything is going to be a twist on the Recount. Like it can't all be the same. That'd be pretty boring. But and then there's a lot of people that are expecting like, okay, this is cool, but where's more Recount? And I can completely appreciate that.
So, because I did a little bit of research when we did our first interview. Like I knew you were more than just the Recount because I think Capable had already come out one, and Freak Show or not Freak Show. Yeah,
Freak Show Princess. Yeah,
they had already just come out or come out just before it. And all 3 of them say, wait, these are not the same books. These are not the same guy. How could you write all 3? Because the Recount is one thing. Yeah. It's this anti-everybody amazing book. And then Capable give the pitch for Capable.
Capable is a superhero series set in a world where mysteriously one day people with disabilities begin to gain superpowers that are opposite of what their disability was. So it kind of throws the world into this this chaotic nature where people who were the overlooked population now are the more higher evolved people. So imagine being someone that was ridiculed, teased, picked on, now has superpowers, and those people may not do what's right with all those powers. So it's a superhero series without the capes, the masks, the secret identities. Even though it's very fantastic and it's very super hero based and things aren't real. It's grounded in reality. Like this is more of how someone compared it recently to like Unbreakable, and I don't want to take credit for that comparison. It's more of like how those three movies in that trilogy that M. Night Shyamalan made, those people with superpowers weren't like flying around all over the cities, or it wasn't like The Boys where they had sponsors and things like that. This is like you get thrust into the world of superpowers, and the chaos will ensue after that. So that is a high level overview of Capable. Probably said more than I should have.
Well, no, and it's also like, and we're going to look at the Kickstarter for this because this is you have about halfway through on this Kickstarter, I think. Like
about 13 days left. Yeah.
And this cover, I love this cover, but it's not, just so people know, it is the most superhero look, like straight up superhero looking cover of the series that I've seen. Like the covers, other covers are, but like this one's like, oh hell, this is like Static Shock about to punch the lights out of it. I mean,
right.
But I have to ask you about this because this one, I loved it when I saw it when it popped up. Like the I want to meet this Dream Master dude or whatever.
Dream Master, yes. Yeah.
What is this?
I'm glad that you have that one up there too. I'm super excited about Dream Master. This is my new title coming out with Black Box Comics.
So wait, that's five labels now?
I'm losing count. Good problem to have. Black Box is a great indie publisher that I think it has been flying under the radar, but people are discovering them more and more. I mean, they're getting big names like Brian Hawkins that has wrote 2 titles for them.
Hawkins does Black Cotton.
Black Cotton, yep, and he's got the Vineyard with Aftershock right now, or is it Vineyard? I don't know.
Yeah,
Vineyard. But yeah, what's really exciting to me about Dream Master from a writing standpoint is they reached out to me and asked me to write their IP. They approached me and said, we've heard about you. We have this idea, and it's going to be our intellectual property and our creation, but we want you to flesh out the story and write the series for it. And I was like, that's great. So, I don't have to do any of the project management or paying for the artist or find the artists or pay for the printing and shipping. Nope. So it's contracted work, and the story is really cool too. They gave me a page and a half pitch of what they were looking for, and we had conversations, bounced back and forth before I really put pen to paper. And Dream Master, the elevator pitch is he is this cursed person who lives in the dream world and protects us while we're asleep, because we can actually die in our nightmares. And the evil being that is in charge of these nightmares, once they have enough of them, can enter the real world and then just collapse all of our reality. So we get to see Dream Master and hit his journey through saving these dreamers, and it gets really bizarre and weird. It's this awesome like horror fantasy mix, and it's got killer artwork. The interior artist who did that wraparound cover, Luigi Baricelli, Italian artist, super detailed and adds like so much to every square centimeter on every single page.
So he does this throughout the book.
Yes, this is interior. This is his cover, but this is also the interior artwork style too.
Wow.
There's some preview pages that
I looked at they look awesome.
And it only gets nuttier because when I wrote the first like 2 issues, I didn't know like Luigi's art style. I didn't know who I was writing, what artist I was writing to. And then once I started getting pages back, I was like, oh no, I need to give this guy more splash pages. And now that I know what he can do, issues 3, 4, and 5 just get nuttier. And I'm already turned in issue 8. This is I wrote more issues for this title than I have for anything else. All my eggs are in a basket for Dream Master, and hopefully after a few more issues that I give them, we can even start on another title with that publisher too. So really excited to be working with them.
That's awesome. Just thinking through, because Joe's been doing his Kickstarter or whatever, but like he's talked to me about both sides because he's the artist and the writer on a lot of stuff.
Oh yeah, that's a heavy burden right there. I mean, there's pros and cons to it. As I can, I can't speak since I can't draw to save my life. And there's times where I'm like, if I could only just draw this cover for myself and I could get it done. But then I've been explained, and I'm married to an artist too, so I know that aspect. I see that side of it all. If I know me, and if I could actually draw with some type of talent, I would curse myself by always drawing. Because I'm such a have to be productive type guy. I wouldn't ever be able to stop, and enjoy life. So I can appreciate those individuals like yourself, Joe, that have to do both. Or I'm sure you're choosing to do both, but you can do both.
Yeah. My days are busy right now.
Yes.
So here's the Kickstarter, guys. I have linked in. If you on YouTube, you can go to the link. The link is there for the Kickstarter. You can go and purchase it. Joe's Kickstarter is still listed there too. But you can go so you can get all 5 issues with this Kickstarter. Is that what I'm saying?
Yep. You can if you're new to Capable, you can get the previous issues. If you've already been on this journey with us, you can just get issue 5. We got plenty of add-ons too. So if you missed like 3, 4, and 5, you can back 5 and add on 3 and 4. So you don't have to buy the bundle. Right.
So you won an award? Is that what this says?
House of Nerds Show was kind enough to give Capable the Kickstarter of the year last year, which is amazing because there's like 5,000 comic book Kickstarters every year.
Wait, the Berserker didn't win it or whatever that was?
Yeah, right. Oh.
Doesn't you love it because Berserker brings people to Kickstarter, but it's like, what the hell, dude? You bring Keanu Reeves in and you run it and you make sure you sell your trade before you ever release a book.
I try not to get mad at those things or the comic books that are very lewd on the cover. I get it, man. It's like
so many.
You feel like a dirty person because you're like, okay, I just want to find, but every one of them's like, sex sells, sex sells, sex sells. Okay, scary book sells. And then you're like, wait, but give me a plot. And you're like, there's not a plot. That's all it is.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of great looking and great sounding books not get any attention on Kickstarter.
Right.
There's just too much noise. So you gotta do what you do, Jonathan. You're everywhere. Every time I get up in the morning, there are 900 pictures in your stories. You're traveling all over the U.S. I mean, you're a go-getter, man. You work your tail off.
Thank you.
So hopefully this building all this success. It's great.
I appreciate that. And thank you for noticing it. Sometimes it's like, does anyone even see that I'm here? But hard work pays off.
Yeah. And it looks like you were working. Like I'm so introverted. Like I spend almost every day in my studio drawing for hours and hours and hours. And now I'm trying to sell this Kickstarter. And it's like, I don't want to talk to people. I don't want to send another message in this certain social media or another email. And it's like, I'm so glad that I kept it low and got it I was fully funded just with my friends. And I was like, I did that. That's all I needed to do. Hopefully this success will build on another one. I mean, that's what you're doing. Like just by looking at your Kickstarter profile, you can just see that you're leveling up, like creating all kinds of different genres. So you're not getting put into some kind of corner where somebody's going to say, oh, we'll get him to do this or write this. And you're really showing that you're versatile in so many ways. So it's an inspiration to people like me who are trying for the first time to jump in there. It's great.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And you just take the bad days on the chin sometimes, running a Kickstarter is a roller coaster of emotions that, there's, it does not get any easier,
Right.
or predictable. It can't even be predictable. This is the first Kickstarter after doing like 10 of them that I previously I kept on increasing the goal 500. I kept on adding 500. This one, I had a choice from my last one. My last one was a 4,500 goal. I was like, do I go try to get that much coveted 5,000, or do I be humble and bring it down? I decided to bring it down to the 3,500, and that's just I don't want to say play it safe, but it's more like I want to get this book in people's hands.
I mean, that was exactly what me and the writer that I worked with, we said, we would rather have a physical book that we can have readers read.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's much more important to us than making a lot of money. I'm happen to be in a place right now where I can say that, I'm not like, I'm going to pay bills with my stuff eventually, but right now I can kind of just amazing to be able to say that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, sometimes you have to beat the street and talk to everyone about it. And this isn't the campaign where I wanted to, be whispering in everyone's ear to back the Kickstarter. I also didn't want to have 30 different covers and a bunch of rewards to have to pack and fulfill. Kept it simple. I want to get my, funding to print it out and pay, the debts that it costs to get this far and move on to the next project.
Yeah, I was lucky enough, or I got to help run Ji-Hung Lee's Kickstarter. They just had the Guma. It was very different to be on that side of it, like talking to you guys, and then like, oh no, your expectations are what? How many dollars?
Yeah,
and then I was like, oh my good, it's very different, but getting to hear the back end of it of how much every artist cost, and you wanted this artist, well, she cost $3,000.
Yeah,
he cost $4,000, but he's amazing. $4,000 adds up real fast.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's where you scour Instagram to find the people who have not made a name for themselves yet and go, I'll give you $250 if you do a cover for me.
And that's why you see these Kickstarters that get funded in the 5 digits. That's great and all, but they may have spent that much on just those cover artists alone, and sure that they got a high dollar amount, but to me, I'd rather have more backers than a higher number. More backers means that it's more people added to the email list that are going to get these messages when I launch another Kickstarter. There's not one reward that's more than $75 on here, and that's the retailer tier. So
yeah, that's awesome too. Yeah, the retailer tier is always one of those. Is that one that anyone can buy, or is that retailers only?
Comic book retailers only. Yeah.
Because I've seen some people have it say they retailer tier and say, really, no, it's just you can buy 10 copies. But then others, like I think yours is like, no, you actually have to have a special code that retailers have. Because I was
a tax ID. Yeah.
Because there was one book, I think Merwin did a book that I was like, oh, this book's awesome, and Peach has a cover. Only the retailer copy can be found. I'm like, oh, I'm not a retailer. I don't. Yeah. I mean, my LCS will buy it, but that doesn't mean I can get the copy. But just like the incentive, I was like, oh, no, I'm calling them right now, and I got that quicksand one.
Yeah, very cool. Thank you.
But no, this is all. I like the fact that you allow people that just like to read it. They can just buy it. I mean, it's not that expensive. I like supporting Kickstarters, though I've gotten to where I'm having to be more choosy of which ones I do. Because for a while there, I was like, oh, and then a month later, like, oh crap, that's $100 there and there and there.
Yeah, it adds up real quickly.
Yeah, but so is this the only Kickstarter you have going at this moment?
Yeah. I only can do one at a time. And I usually after fulfillment that takes another like toll out of the energy. So speaking of artists, that's my lovely wife Francesca.
I don't know which book she was. I think she wrote that when we were doing Dreamweaver.
Dream Master.
Master.
Yeah. She's really excited for that book. So if the people watching don't know that Francesca Fantini, that's the artist from Stake, very talented artist.
Oh wow, I love the Stake artist. Yeah, good job.
Very fortunate. She's super talented. So
that's awesome. But yeah, no. Jonathan, thank you so much for talking Kickstarters with us, selling you books. I also hate you because now you've sent me 3 or 4 more books I gotta go buy. But I mean, the same thing. I swear I have a box of like 60 recounts because I'm like, dude, after talking to you and then seeing the hype, I gotta buy as many copies as I got.
Thank you.
It's a great read, guys. If you haven't read the recount, I loved it. The Dream Master book, the art alone draws me in, but then also just knowing your style of writing. Which it's weird to go, but you write so many different styles. So your style, which style? But and I'm gonna probably
his style is good.
Good, that's the name of his style. Good. But I am gonna check. And Hyperaware definitely sounds like something. Sure. And then just hearing your heart that was put into the Ukraine book, I'm like, okay.
Yes, thank you.
I need to. So, like I said, I hate you because I'm gonna buy 12 books that I did not intend on buying, which is okay. I mean, that's.
Worst things to spend your money on.
Yeah.
So, but thank you so much for joining us. And
thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, Joe. Best of luck with your Kickstarter. I know you're in a good place with it, but I hope it exceeds your expectations.
Me too.
Yeah. Thank you.
But guys, thanks for watching. Go in the link. Go to his Kickstarter. Support Capable. I loved hearing the pitch. The pitch sold me on it, and then the Oshred cover. I like that. Just complete change from the other covers. But it's a great cover as well. But so buy one book, buy all 5 if you need to buy all 5. Support him. Help this get with your 500 from away from your total or 2 or
about 1,300-ish. Yeah, we got 13 days, so we're getting there. It's harder for issue 5s than issue 1s. So
yeah, and I've seen that for a lot of Kickstarters. Like it's like, okay, how do you get because you build up a loyal fan base,
right?
But they already have issue 1, 2, 3, and 4, so they're not going to buy the big package. They're going to buy issue 5.
Yeah, exactly. Hence the lowering that funding goal.
Yes,
right.
But
thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on. Thanks for letting us talk comics.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.
See you, buddy.